Hi again. Nice to be back again today. So I'm going to, before the coffee break, as Richard said, quickly talk you through the pricing and product setup for next year. If you're a member in the room, you will have already had an opportunity to see this. It was included in the voting email that was sent a couple of weeks ago. So it would have been emailed out to you if you want to look at it in more detail, but we thought we'd go through it again today because, it's a good thing for us to highlight what we're planning and what we've been up to. So every year, we, as part of our budget writing process, we look at the pricing, we look at the pricing strategy, we look at what we're trying to achieve over the next couple of years, and we reflect back on our current pricing structure and our products, and look at how we can review those in order to deliver more value to the members, just update the services and the pricing there. So when we do this every year, the key thing at the front of our minds, apart from what can we afford to do, is ensuring that we're delivering more value for the existing members in order to encourage that traffic growth. At the same time, we've also got in our minds what we're trying to do to attract new members, to continue to grow the community, to bring new and more traffic onto the exchanges. So we're also bearing that in mind when we're looking through the pricing and the products. And on top of all of this, we've got the entire market in the back of our heads that we're trying to be aware of. We're very conscious that we need to maintain market value. We've got a brand, a non-profit, membership-owned brand reputation that we're very passionate about, that we need to make sure that we're protecting that brand image at the same time. So there's a lot of things going on in this process that we go through every year, and some years this results in big changes, some years this results in really not much change at all as we hold steady and carry on as we have done previously. But as I said, the key thing throughout all of this is maintaining that member feedback that we're constantly asking for and we're constantly collecting throughout the year, and listening to that feedback, listening to any pain points that come up, and seeing if there's anything we can do to help that as part of the pricing strategy. So I'll quickly take you through the changes and additions we're planning for next year. So we obviously have the membership fee, which is £100 a month. Everybody pays the same fee. It's same for everybody, £100 a month. So we're not changing that next year. At the moment, as part of that membership fee, that includes your first 10 gig port, so not the peering. It includes the first 10 gig port and 1 gig peering on any and all lands. So at the moment, that's 7 lands, soon to be 9 with the 2 extra in Africa. So for £100 a month, if you happen to be in all the locations, you could have a 10 gig port with a 1 gig peering over that for £100 a month. So that's where we are at the moment. So for next year, we're planning to increase that to 2 gig. And that doesn't have to be a peering service. It could be some of the other services as well. So maps, for example, some of the additional services. So we're increasing that limit from 1 to 2 gig service on all of our lands. So hopefully by early next year, that'll be 9 lands that you could have a 10 gig with up to 2 gig peering service. So we're hoping that that helps out a bit down at that end. So that's the membership fee. So the fee is staying the same. We're just increasing what is included in that. The next one is the port access fees. So if you take more than a single 10 gig on each LAN, if you want a second 10 gig on the same LAN, or you're taking 100 gig ports, then they have a port access fee associated with them. And we've worked with the finance team, and we're now able to reduce that port access fee by 12% for the additional 10s and the 100 gigs. So you'll see on the slide there the price that they are this year and then the price that they will be for next year. So again, the first 10 gig is included in the membership fee, so that's why a lot of members they see it come up on their invoice, but then you see it automatically deducted after that. But anything after that first 10 gig will have a reduced port access fee. So that's port access. So coming on to the 10 gig ports, so when you take that first free 10 gig port or additional 10 gig ports, these are the current options that you have on that port to take for a peering service. So you can either have the free 1 gig, you can have 2 gig, you can have 5 or 10. So next year we've looked at this in detail, and we've looked at what else is going on in the market, the fact that internally we've been able to really offer an increase in self-service, automation, the way that we're managing ports, the way that you guys are able to manage your ports. And we've decided that next year we're going to be able to offer any speed on those 10 gig ports. So anything from 1 or 2, which would be included in your membership fee, all the way through to 10 gig on those ports. So it is just one peering service per port. You can't have a 2 and then a 4 or anything like that. You have to have just the one peering service, but you can put other services on that port as well. So you could take 8 gig peering and then 2 gig cloud or something if you wanted to. And the pricing of those services is going to be linear. So it's a 5 gig will be 50% of the full 10 gig peering fee. So any questions on that? You can ask questions at the end as well. I just thought I'd give the opportunity now. Okay, I'll move on to the 100 gigs. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, just in the idea behind this is that we're really able now to offer more flexibility for those introductory services, and increasing that value for the members who do take those 10 gig ports on our peering lands. So yeah, the 100 gigs. So at the moment, if you take a 100 gig port on our peering lands, you have the option of either having a 30 gig peering or 100 gig. Next year, we're going to introduce 50 gig on those hundreds. And the big change with the hundreds as well is that we're changing that pricing. So when we introduced the 30 gig a few years ago, we were still very heavily dependent on that 100 gig revenue as part of our revenue. It was a very significant part of our revenue. So when we introduced the 30 gig, we were quite anxious about what might happen if a lot of 100 gig members were to downgrade. That didn't actually happen. If anything, more 10 gig members upgraded, so that was nice. But we're in a position now where we can lower that pricing for the 30. So at the moment, 30 gig is about 50% price of 100 gig ports. So if you're on a 30 gig service now, you could upgrade to 50 gig in January and pay the same as what you're paying now, basically. So yeah, with this, it was really a case of offering more stepping stones for those members that are trying to work their way up from 10 to 100. It is a big jump, and we recognise that. And this and the other services I just mentioned are another step forward into helping those members bridge the gap between the 10s and the 100s. So we're really hoping that it's going to make that upgrade path more affordable moving forward. So those are the main changes and additions. So I thought I'd just give you a few examples just to sort of kind of make it a bit more tangible. So if you're a member at the moment with a 1 gig peering service, then in January, you'll be able to increase that to 2 gig for no extra cost. That'll be included in your membership fee. If you've got 5 gig over 10 at the moment, then you can either put on the 5 gig and you'll see your invoice decrease, or you've got that whole breadth of other options now to be able to upgrade to 6, 7, 8, 9 over those 10 gig ports. And if you're a member with a 10 gig service, then you've obviously got the options either side now. If you need to, if you want to make more use of your 10 gig port and add other services, then you can bring that down to 8 or 9 gig. You don't have to cut it down to 5 gig in order to fit another service on there. But you've also now got that 30 gig opportunity that is significantly cheaper than it was this year. What else have we got? So the members on the 30 gig services, as I mentioned before, from January, that could actually be upgraded to 50 gig and you wouldn't see any change on your invoice. That would be the same price that it is now. And then the members with 100 gigs, you'll see that 12% price reduction on the port access fees. So that was a bit whirlwind, but that's, in a nutshell, the main changes for next year. So these will come into effect on the 1st of January. There'll be options on the order forms and on the portal that will become available on 1st of January as well. But if you would like to speak to anyone on the sales team to change your services get a head start on that and change them from the 1st of January, then please do email sales and the team will pick those up and we'll keep an eye on them, and then we'll be able to flip those over on the 1st of January. So that was it. If there's any thoughts, comments, feedback, as I said, this was included, it was embedded in that voting email that you got a couple of weeks ago. So the services fees document is there for next year for you to have a look at. It was really a case, of trying to see where we can offer more value, where we can help people with that flexibility, really making use of all that self-service and automation that we've been working so hard on the last few years, and being able to offer more value. So that's it, a quick one from me, unless there's any questions or thoughts, feedback, good, bad. We used to do a hum test. That'll take you back a bit. Hum test for it being good. Sound like my 11-year-old. Okay. No questions? No? Oh, yeah, Mike. Mike for Mike.
Mike Hughes, invited guest. I just want to say something that really stood out to me. In a world where the price of everything seems to be going up, so this is going down, which is amazing. It's a great testament to how LINX is run and how we do things here, and the economies of scale. That is just my observation, and that actually this is still the right way to do what we're doing here.
Yeah. Thank you. Got a question at the back of the room as well.
Hello, Ben from Interneti. Is LINX committed to bridging the gap between 10 and 100 as we now enter the 100 gig world? The stepping stone is still quite steep. A lot of work's been done on 10 gig when the entry for 100 gig is still a little bit out of reach for some people. It's a lot better than it was. It's about 500 quid a month different versus 1,000, which is incredible to the start, but there's still a lot of smaller providers where 10's not enough, but 100's out of reach, and obviously you lose benefits like your free port, for example. So is there a plan to potentially credit the free port if you've only got the one on that LAN?
To credit the free port for the hundreds?
So you've got a value for your 10 gig, which is 80 quid, 70 quid for your port. Obviously, when you go to 100, you lose that incentive.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, we're constantly reviewing this. So as you pointed out, that step to the 30 gig now is half the price it was this year. So we're able to make that step this year. We start looking at this in, gosh, I'm looking at Andy, May, June every year. So we've been working on this since May, June this year. We went through various different scenarios that then get modelled. So we come up with ideas in product and sales. We then go to finance and say, would this work? Can we afford it? What's happening on that side of things? So we, as I said, constantly taking feedback. So we really appreciate any feedback we can get. We do believe we've made some step in the right direction this year for helping that group of members, but I do anticipate that we will be able to make further changes as next year goes on with regards to that new gap between, well, not new gap, but the gap between 10 and 30. I don't see, we should definitely be looking at that next year, and we'll be seeing what we can do moving forwards.
Okay. Thanks, Jen. Thanks very much, Jen.
Thank you.